Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, I want to do a video here which gives you an updated tier list and view of blessings. Now, blessings are a really powerful tool in the game, especially if you snag some for your early game account. But even when you get to super end game, they're actually super powerful. They make your champions like power tier go up a ton. And choosing the right blessings for the right situation is actually what's going to make the difference for you. I will just start. Okay, I'm on the free-to-play here right now. I'm going to start by saying anything on the website around blessings, you kind of need to make your own decisions on, right? Because we're giving you a generalized view. Sometimes we're giving you a view based on the world of, we think you've got tons of tools. Yeah, you know, we think you've got plenty of champions, etc. It's very difficult to pinpoint down what you need without some context. And I'll give you a good example, like Rathalos Blademaster here, on my free-to-play, he's my only legendary champion with a blessing. And irrelevant of who that legendary is, if it is your only one with a blessing, you always take Brimstone, because it's really powerful against bosses. And if you don't have Brimstone in a team, then you're significantly reducing your damage and your potential in this game. So even though this is a poor blessing for Rathalos in particular, because you don't want to build Rathalos with accuracy, but you need accuracy for this, etc., I still take it, okay? And it's still massively impactful on my account. There's another example, which is Cruelty. Cruelty is another blessing, which is really great to have at least one of them in your team if you're doing extended boss fights. For example, if you're fighting clan boss and you know, you've got maybe like a 3-star plus blessing on an epic that's in that team. Cruelty is a great one as well because it's reducing the defense of the enemy. So there's a couple of examples like that where it's going to go against probably what's either on the website or what I say today. That's just because, you know, we can't give you all information at all points of all the time. It's just very hard. You know, another one, you'll see loads of my champs here have got Phantom Touch as a blessing because early game, this gives you a bit of an extra burst of damage, and it also gives you an extra hit into a finite shield. And it's a great one to have if you're struggling to get through a certain bit of content as kind of like a, well, it just fits. Yeah, it just kind of fits most situations. Anyway, let's get into the tier list here and show you what I'm talking about. So we've now got on the tier list page of our blessings section. So you come into Raid Shadow Legends, let's zoom in a bit here. Come into Raid Shadow Legends, drop into the tier list, blessings tier list. You'll come to this page. This page is totally updated, but the individual champion pages as of right now are not, since the blessings changed. Okay, so unfortunately, it takes a bit of time to go through 800 to 900 odd champions and do all of that work. And there are some quite big changes, honestly. So we're doing this first. Don't think we're not doing the rest of the work. It just takes time. So we're hoping by the end of this week, we might have got all of the champions updated. Anyway, let's go through. So what we've done here, we're kind of given a bit of an overview of what blessings are, etc. This kind of like note on blessings, which you just should have in your team. Example, Cruelty, Brimstone, what I just spoke about. And then we've broken it down now into kind of like PvE, i.e. dungeons, bosses, and then PvP, which is basically the arena, because the blessings you take in those two different areas are really different. So the further you get into the game, the more likely you're going to have specialists in an area, like a specialist PvP team, specialist dungeon teams. Early on, everyone kind of does everything. So you need to kind of assess it based on where you're at. So the kind of like quick view of this is at the top, but the detailed view is down below. And I would suggest once you've kind of had a flick around the top and thought, right, what's good, what's not, come down below and try and understand where blessings are good. That's what this video is going to be. So I'm going to go through them all on this video. I'll bookmark the different areas of the game and you can kind of get a feel there. But I want to give you a deep dive in what's going on. So Indomitable Spirit, we've said it's a D tier and D tier for both arena and general. We just don't feel like there's many instances in the game that this is the best value blessing you're going to pick up. Just such a low chance of blocking the debuffs that we think there's just better ones out there. Miracle Heal, we've got as A tier for general, but it's not really a PvP blessing. This one's actually really solid. especially when you get to higher level blessings. So 5-star plus Miracle Heal becomes really strong on a God Seeker in Sand Devil for doing that kind of like duo comp. It's also a really useful blessing in places like Hydra, if you've got someone who's doing healing for your team. Bear in mind, though, it doesn't activate on heal over time stuff, okay? So it's a bit niche, can be useful in Sintranos as well, but obviously the higher tier you get, the better the restoration of healing would be. So, but for a rare one, it's actually kind of cool. Iron Will, this is one of the ones that changed. We said D tier for both areas of the game. So this one decreases the damage champion receives according to the number of debuffs on them. Again, it could be pretty niche. So ideally, you'd rather take blessings that make you either do more damage or yeah, basically you have the upper hand. If you're trying to use blessings to reduce damage, it means you're being hit a lot, and that's not necessarily a good thing. And if you've got a load of debuffs on you, you're probably in a lot of trouble anyway. But you know, to get a maximum damage reduction of 20% versus some of the other blessings which didn't put you on the front foot, again, this one's super niche. Heavencast, this is an interesting one. I'm actually going to do a separate video on this next week sometime, once I've got the test server back, because this could end up being quite an interesting one. So the more buffs you've got on you, the more damage you do. Yeah, up to 20% more damage. Sorry, 20% per buff, but yeah, max 20%. I think that should read 2% per buff, max 20%. That's a typo there. So we're saying here that there are better damage blessings, like Crushing Rend is God tier, but there are situations where you might be choosing between Heavencast and Phantom Touch, especially on like clan boss teams. That's going to be the exact theme of my video. When is Phantom Touch better? When is Heavencast better? Because this is now a decent damage boost if you've got like a buff heavy team. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's going to be an arena blessing, apart from maybe the new White King. Yeah, White King could do well with this because you're basically you're pushing damage on top of damage because he gains damage from buffs anyway. But this is an interesting change, and it might be that this becomes higher in the meta the more we understand it. Intimidating Presence has always been a solid one, so this is one of those ones. It's nice to have someone in your team with Intimidating Presence because it's boosting the power of your aura. Once you get to 3-star and above, it's actually kind of good. And at 5-star, it's strong. You know, if you think about the power of an extra 15% boost to your aura, but also reducing the enemy's aura. If you consider arena matchups, it could be extremely strong. We've got it as S tier for arena. But yeah, definitely worthwhile once you start getting 3-star plus. Lightning Cage legendary. So this is an interesting one as well. Okay, so basically in PvE, it's pretty niche. I actually do throw it on my Hydra Mischief tank. Yeah, I put it on the Archer just now. I literally just did a run on my main account on the with the Archer. She already puts an extra buff on herself anyway, and then this physically puts a buff on your champion when it's live. It's not live all the time, but it does mean that the Head of Mischief will target whoever's got the most buffs. So, you know, you've got a better chance that it's going to land on the one that you want. It's more of a PvP blessing though. So we've got A tier for PvP. And this one's actually pretty good. So whenever an enemy receives a buff or has their turn meter field, you get Lightning Orb stacks. Yeah. And it protects random buffs from being removed from your champion. So when this champion deals damage, you then get a bonus damage hit as well. So it's just really, it's a cool way to try to not get your buffs ripped off, and you get a bit of extra damage for a damage dealer. Okay, let's move on to Dark Blessings then. So we've got Dark Resolve. Used to be kind of trash actually, but this was one of the ones that was changed. So we said D tier for general use, but A tier in the arena. So increases the damage inflicted by this champion according to the number of dead allies. Again, this one's very niche, okay? We said A tier for arena, but we're not saying just pick it up all the time. This is like those champions that do more damage when people are dead, like Kitis, Deathless. You can actually end up doing quite fun strats with this. But in general, there's better options. So anyway, it's a fun one. I wouldn't say it's like a must pick. Yeah, it's very niche. And again, once we update all of the champion stuff, you'll see where it pops up. Okay, Phantom Touch is one I spoke about earlier. S tier in general play, A tier in the arena. Just gives you bonus damage. Cool thing about this one is you start to get the damage improvement right from level 1, but it's the chance that you land it changes. So from level 1, you get super high value. Yeah, so Here now it says here actually, this will be the first choice for nearly all rare champions and a lot of epic damage dealers. It's not ideal for HP based or defense based champions. So it's more of an attack based thing because it's based on your attack multiplier. It also counts as a hit for finite boss. It's a good source of damage in clan boss. But yeah, the fact that you get the same level of damage coming through at level 1 makes it really valuable. And then actually, as you tick up different levels, you just get a higher chance of landing it. If you get level 6, I think you can do it twice. Yeah, do it twice. So this one's a really strong one for a rare blessing. Okay, Cruelty. So this one is pretty damn solid as well. We said S tier for general play. It's not really an arena blessing. Don't really get the value from arena. You just need multiple hits to stack it up. But in areas like Sintranos, Clan Boss, Hydra don't get as much value because as soon as you kill a head, it resets, but still do get some value from it. But the higher the level of blessing you got here, the higher percentage of defense you reduce per hit. Multi-hit champions stack this quicker. Yeah, so if you've got a choice of 2 or 3 champions to put it on, you pick the champion that's going to hit 2 or 3 times per A1, for example, so they stack it up really quick. But yeah, reducing a target's defense is always going to be good for your team in PvE content against bosses. So it's a really useful one. You can't have multiple champions stacking it together. It will always go to whoever's got the highest tier of blessing will end up like doing your stacking. So if you had 2 level 6, for example, guys doing this, their stacks would count together towards the max. So you would get there quicker, but you won't overflow the stacks. Lethal Dose. This is an interesting one. I did a video on this yesterday. Probably by the time this video is out 2 days ago. It's very niche and very fun, I would say. It's completely useless outside of arena, so don't pick it. It literally is an arena-only blessing. Yeah, so anyone who's picking this outside of the arena, it's completely pointless. It's an arena-only blessing. We've got it as A tier. It's probably somewhere between B and A after playing it a lot. You can absolutely nuke like god tier champions into the dirt if you've got people with high levels of poison. So I did it with Taurus. Calvalax is a good example. Tomb Lord. Any of the people that throw out 3 or 4 poisons, honestly, can do a good job in the arena with this blessing. You kind of need it to be at least 3-star because then you're doing an extra 100% damage from your poisons. If you get 5-star blessing with this, you can one-shot people. You can. But there's a whole bunch of counters to it, i.e. Stone Skin, i.e. someone cleansing you, i.e. Polymorph. There's a whole bunch of reasons why it could fail. But yeah, I did a video on this. It was super fun, and it's a different concept for arena. So I actually made this blessing from complete trash to quite interesting. Let's have a look at the legendary ones then. So Temporal Chains, this is a really good blessing. Speed's king in a lot of content. So if you can slow people down, it's going to help you. This one decreases speed for active buffs that are under, except for buffs placed at the start of a round. So you're basically taking the enemy's speed down with each buff that they're putting on. Can really be helpful in arena to slow down the enemy. Again, you only need 1 champion in your team with a high blessing of this to affect everybody in the enemy team. And it's okay in general play. I'd say it's mainly useful in stuff like hard Doom Tower, where chances are the enemy teams are having a lot of goes, or faction wars, I guess, having a lot of goes, and you want to slow them down. Can be really good. I mean, it's level 6 here, decreases a turn meter of all enemies when an active buff is placed. That's a huge gain for you. So yeah, in the right situation, can be really strong. Ward of the Fallen, again, A tier for general, S tier for arena. In the right type of like champion setups. This is the bone armor one. I actually found here, it's not really viable, but I was in Sintranos and a few of my dudes had died. I was doing one of the double bosses. A few of my dudes had died by the time I got onto Finite, and I didn't actually realize this was a thing, but when you attack with that champion and your little skelly bobs run in, they do hit the shield. So it can actually come in. It came in really clutch for me against Finite when I didn't even expect it to be a thing. Just pure luck that the dude that I brought in had bone armor on them. But yeah, so that was a separate kind of sideline thing. But generally, it's used in PvP. There's specific champions that do really well with this. So Rotus and Taurus, because it also gives you damage reduction, and they're the type of people that you want to stay alive. Yeah, so basically that damage reduction and the stacking damage when other people die can be pretty damn clutch. But yeah, you can get up to 30% damage reduction with bone armor. Let's go on to War Blessings then. So we've got Hero Soul. We said for general content A tier. The only thing is, there's not many situations where you wouldn't take Phantom Touch over this, but it is similar. It's close to Phantom Touch. So you need to be facing a lot of enemies, like Dark Fae and Hydra is where it really shines. But Phantom Touch just is better if there's, single target bosses and stuff. So we've got here as well, Faultless Defense. Now a B tier blessing. Actually kind of cool, this one. So whenever an enemy attacks an ally under increased defense, you reflect back some damage. This is really a Fire Knight blessing. So if you can get increased defense on your team and somebody has got this blessing on, then what that does is it punches back a load of reflect hits into the shield. I showcase this one as well, with champions like Martyr, but someone like Doomstreak would do this well. Just anyone who's got increased defense as a buff for your team, this could be really strong for. What's cool here is you only need level 1. Because the amount of damage you reflect is not the thing here. It's just the fact that you are reflecting damage and hitting shields. So for Fire Knight in Sintranos and Fire Knight generally is good. Outside of that though, probably wouldn't use it. I guess you could use it in Arena and do... In Arena, it's actually kind of impactful to reflect, like 15% of damage. Outside of Arena in general PvE content, don't really hit very hard doing the reflect. Okay, Command and Presence then. So B tier for normal, A tier for Arena. It's exactly the same as Intimidating Presence I've already spoken about. Boosting the power of an aura for at least one champion in your team is going to be good. Doesn't matter who wears this blessing, it will improve your leader's aura. Okay, so it doesn't have to be on the leader. Chainbreaker here. So D tier, D tier. At the start of a turn, chance to remove a debuff. Just the chance is low. Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like there's so many better options, honestly. It's such a niche pick. You have to know that you're going to get debuffed for this to be effective. Maybe in Sintranos, where you're getting like hard CC'd a lot, could take this, but chance is so low for it to proc that it just doesn't feel like it's worth it versus others. Life Harvest here. So C tier for general play, but actually S tier in Arena. So Life Harvest, especially live Arena, I would say. Life Harvest is reducing the max HP of enemies when they're revived. In live Arena, there's a ton of reviving going on. Like if you had a high level one here, you could destroy max HP, like absolutely nuke max HP. And this will mean that it's much easier to kill them next time around. So this is actually pretty damn valuable in Arena nowadays, especially with the current sort of meta we've got. Soul Reap then, this is one of my favorites, and I know it's not as effective as some others, but I really like it. So Soul Reap, especially in PvE, you just finish off enemies. Yeah, so if enemies are about to die, or you hit them hard but they didn't quite kill them, this can finish them off. This is really useful on big bosses when you've got them low on health. Even something like Clan Boss or Hydra, you can do some work with this when people are low. I will say I found this out the hard way. It is countered pretty hard by Harima in Arena. And yeah, I was hitting into teams. I was like, hold on a minute, why are people not dying? Harima was in there destroying my fun. And in dungeon content, bosses will have their kind of like nukage capped to 10% of their health. So although you've hit the threshold, it doesn't mean you're actually going to kill them with a high level blessing. But you will do a big chunk of damage. So Soul Reap, I think, is a lot of fun. Okay, let's go into Chaos then. We've got Emergency Heal here, B tier for General, C tier for Arena. This one's close to A tier, I think. So whenever a shield buff on you expires, you get a heal. It's like having a mini regen set going off, especially if you've got Blood Shield accessories. I use this on my solo champion in Doom Tower bosses, so I use this to solo Scarab boss with Mordecai right now on my free-to-play. But yeah, it just becomes an extra layer of healing for people that are putting out shields. We've got Survival Instinct here, so partially fills this champion's turn meter whenever a debuff is placed, spread, or transferred onto them. This could end up being pretty good as well, actually. So for support champion, this is one of the best blessings that you could take. Phantom Touch is okay, but actually to boost your turn meter, even at low level blessings, it's kind of good for rare supports or even some epic supports. Rank 6, you can get a lot of turn meter coming through and you can actually skip where your turn order should be. So this one's pretty solid. Crushing Rend, super busted at level 6. Like the best blessing in the game at level 6. So you're ignoring defense based on your awakening and based on the enemy's level. Particularly, it's not a PvE blessing really because your level caps at 60, but in PvE, levels go right up to like level 350, I think, in Cintranos right now. So you're ignoring 1% per every 10 levels. It's an insane amount. It's insane, which is how you get some of these crazy damage dealers coming through or crazy speed runs coming through in stuff like Cintranos or high-level Doom Tower. So it says here, probably the best blessing in the game for dungeons and bosses where levels were hit 350. Fully Awaken, this grants you the same ignore defense as Merciless Gear. It's like wearing Merciless Gear, putting on a level 6 blessing. Particularly good on someone like a Seer. Yeah, particularly good, but generally good anyway. So this one, you gain way more value if you've got level 5 or 6. Level sort of 1 and 3, again, I think we've got a typo here. Level 1 and 3, it's not as strong. But 5 and 6, it's insane. Incinerate, this one hasn't got the same sort of bonus that we've got from Lethal Dose because you can only ever put one burn out there. So as a damage improvement, okay, you're doing more damage, you're doing a lot more damage, but it's still HP burn's not really the way to go in arena. And this one, again, is an arena-only blessing. So don't take this one outside of the arena. Okay, Polymorph. So Polymorph is still prevalent in arena. I think this one is arena-only blessing as well. Polymorph is the bane of any plat level player. People hate it. It's just very frustrating. It's just this kind of like 50-50. Am I turning into a sheep or not? But anyway, it's very strong. If you've got arena defense champions, every time someone's trying to debuff you or buff remove or anything, then they've got a chance at becoming a sheep. So yeah, it's very annoying. They have nerfed it a little bit, but the nerf didn't really feel like it was a nerf. And yeah, honestly, I don't like it. I don't like it in the game, personally. Right, last one then is Brimstone. Already spoken about it earlier. This is the best all-round pick for your first blessing. And it's really valuable to have someone in your any dungeon team with this blessing because it just does a lot of damage. If you get it to Awakening level 5, then the debuff becomes protected. It can't be removed. Therefore, you get guaranteed damage. And if you get it to 6, you no longer need accuracy to apply it, which is where I'd love my Rathalos to be on the free-to-play. But yeah, it's a really strong blessing, and someone in your team should have it. So look, hope that's been helpful. Hope that now gives you some ideas on what you should do with your champions. And as I say, we'll update the website real soon. I've been Hell Hades. I'll see you later.